thank you very much. Tomorrow night, of course, more on...
In terms of moving in and out of the country. In terms of the passenger lists that are given to the airlines, I'm not sure whether all of those names were on the watch list for them to look out for.
Now, the Transportation Secretary says that the airlines do have the latest watch list, and the airlines say that they are indeed checking that watch list carefully against their manifest. Now, the union representing 50,000 flight attendants is planning to demand new security measures sometime this week, in line with what the pilots did as well earlier this week. Number one, they're talking about standardizing carry-on baggage rules, more stringent airport screening for screening passengers, reinforced cockpit doors, increased air marshals in the skies, and flight attendants say that they are planning on having more training specifically for their flight attendants to deal with hijackings. Now, these groups say that the FAA's increased security is just not enough. Greta?
Patty, Reagan National Airport, is it going to open?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Greta?
Is Reagan National Airport, where you are, is that going to be opening?
National Airport, as far as the authorities are saying, according to Transportation Secretary Mineta, not any time in the near future. No definitive word on that. It was closed today. It's closed tomorrow. Both days, the airlines are allowed to reposition their aircraft. And I can tell you, having been here the past couple days, there were a lot of aircraft here earlier in the week. They're almost all gone. This is just a ghost town of an airport. The airlines that are allowed to take off, and we're showing you video of some of those airplanes taking off today, had no passengers on board, and they were only allowed to take off to the south. Now, that's the opposite direction of where the Pentagon and the White House are. Now, the concern here among officials is that it is so easy to take off from this airport and within seconds go slamming into the White House or again into the Pentagon. Greta?
All right, thanks to Patty Davis at National Airport. Intense security is a way of life in many parts of the world. Case in point, the Israeli airline El Al. Pilots are forbidden from leading the cockpit no matter what happens in the passenger cabins. There are also well-trained armed security guards on each flight, and security before the flight is tight. All passengers are questioned, and there's passenger profiling as well. Isaac Yefet is the former head of security for El Al Airlines. He's also been the chief of anti-terrorism for the Israeli Secret Service, and he joins us from our New York bureau. Isaac, what's the biggest problem with American transportation in the air?
The big problem is that we don't have security, not on ground and not on air. On ground,
go ahead. I was going to ask you, what do you recommend we do on ground?
On ground, we have to change all the concept of the hiring security people, the way we train them. Instead of hours, we need days. We need to know how to test them. We need to bring them to a point where they will understand that every passenger for them is the first passenger.
What's the training, though? But let me ask you, what's the actual training? I mean, what does someone need to be able to know to do?
How to check ticket, how to check passport or any ID, to know how to approach the passenger, and to let him understand that we have to ask him questions for his safety, because he will be on air and we will remain on ground. Once the passenger will understand that we are doing it for his safety, he will love to cooperate with us. Anyone who will try to lie to us, we will see it in his face immediately.
But Isaac, if I'm a terrorist and I approach a ticket counter, I have a passport, I have a ticket, and I answer the questions, I packed my own bags, and no one gave me anything to carry on. What more can someone do behind the ticket counter to protect the other passengers?
The problem for us that it's not the sixth question of the FAA. There are so many questions that you can ask passenger to be sure that he is bona fide or he is suspicious. I can give you examples that what happened with El Al in Europe, how terrorists came full with explosive in their luggage, and they passed the local authority X-ray machine. When they come for an interview, through the question that we asked them and the answer that we got, we could find out that something is suspicious. When we searched them deeply, we found that the explosives are concealed in their luggage. This way, we saved the life of our passengers, and we could arrest the terrorists on the ground.
Isaac, in the state of the American carriers now, that locked door between the passengers and the cockpit, is it sufficient what American Airlines have?
Not at all. These doors are built something, I would say, like a carton. You should build not one door. It's not enough to build one door. And the two doors should be so solid that you never be able to open both of them at once. Once the terrorist will come and he will try to open the first door, believe me, he will be dead.
Is that what the airline LL has, a very reinforced door?
That's correct.
What about the problem if a flight attendant calls up to the cockpit and says there's someone back here who has a box cutter to my neck, is going to kill me unless you open the door?
She can say whatever she wants. The cockpit will never be opened by the pilots. We have the people inside the aircraft that they have to give the right answer in seconds.
What about the fact that the United States looks like it's going to ban curbside check-in? Is that really a remedy or at least a fix for part of the problem?
This is one of the problems that I was talking 12 years now, including when I was testifying in the Congress. Curbside are not security people. They have to take care of your luggage and to take their tip. Then you have to go to the check-in. Check-in, ticket agent behind the counter, she was hired to deal with to assign you seat, to take care of your boarding pass, and to take care of your ticket. She is not trained to be a security lady or man. Once she's asking you and she cannot look at your eyes to see if you are honest or dishonest, don't expect her to be the expert in security.
All right, my thanks tonight for joining us, Isaac Yefet.
Thank you.
There is a picture that we showed you just a short time ago, but it's the kind that no matter how many times you see it, it's still chilling. Workers combing through the rubble in New York, moving bucket by bucket, every piece of debris, looking for any kind of clue and keeping up the hope. Tonight, a story of extreme courage and survival. The story of Linda Rothman, 24-year-old research analyst who worked in the World Trade Center. I spoke with her about the terrifying journey to safety and the friends whose fates are still uncertain.
I woke up at about 5:40, took the bus at 6:10, got to work 6:30, just took the elevators up to 89 like any other day. I guess it was around 8:45, planning a little group meeting, and got back to, I was just doing the usual, and then I heard, this loud noise, this loud bang. I was just scared, and I turned around and I saw I saw debris and flames flying across the window, and I saw papers flying everywhere. The World Trade authorities got on and said, World Trade 1 has been hit by a commuter plane, but World Trade 2 is secure. Russell went over and checked it out from that end, and he came back, and I remember telling him, he's like, I could see the fear in his face, and he said to me, I saw people falling. I saw people, falling to their death, and just was like, we have to get out of here. And Lauren was like, she had her bag and she was ready to go, and Dean was ready to go too, and we just we know each other so well, we just kind of looked in each other's face, and Dean was just like, pointing like, we're out of here. I don't know anyone else that left after me out of my building, out of my office, my floor, that survived.
As World Trade 1 burned, the four friends in World Trade 2 took the first elevator from the 89th floor to the 78th, where an express elevator to the lobby is located.
I hit one, let's go. Trying to get the door to close as soon as possible, and we were going down, and it was fine, and I'd almost I literally pictured in my head walking out the door, where I was going next, walking out and everything being fine, and before I knew it, and then suddenly we just dropped. I heard a noise, and I don't recall, I heard a loud bang, and we fell.
Meaning the elevator fell?
Yeah, the elevator fell. Free fall.
The second plane had slammed into Linda's building. All inside the elevator survived the drop, but they were trapped. Flames began to be seen through a crack in the elevator.
And I remember me and Russell and Lauren and Dean all said bye to each other.
After you said goodbye to each other?
Russell said, I love you. You're such a special person, and I mean, I said the same back, and we said, like, God, forgive us for everything, you know, we've done wrong. You know, I thought I was gone, definitely, especially, you know, when the Flames came. I really thought, you know, my life was over.
At the bottom of the elevator was a 6-inch gap. Only 2 people were small enough to make it through the opening, Linda and Lauren.
It was hard, like my chest went through, I barely fit. So it was probably like 6 inches, you know, maximum. And then I had to turn my head to the side to make it through. And I just, you know, I guess my adrenaline was going. I remember just, you know, landing on the floor on my feet, not being painful at all.
Linda ran for help, finding firefighters who began trying to get the others out of the elevator. Lauren managed to squeeze out, but broke 5 ribs and punctured a lung when she fell. Rescue workers loaded Lauren on a makeshift gurney, and Linda followed her to the back of a nearby ambulance.
I heard noise again. Like, the noise that, you know, that just, it was World Trade 2 falling, I'm almost positive. I mean, I just heard like thunder, like loud noise. I jumped, the EMT guy who was probably in his early 30s, you know, seeing the look on in his eyes, the scare, and we just dropped to the bottom, you know, to the ground and just hoped that that we'd live, you know. That's the second time I thought I was gone. Everything inside of me just wanted to get the heck out of there. And I opened the door and I just ran. And then I realized to myself, you know, oh my God, you know, I left Lauren back there, like in a backboard alone. I mean, well, with the EMT guy and another woman, and I felt, but I couldn't go back. There was no way I was going to go back there. And I called my parents, and I didn't realize what they had been going through until I called.
Who answered?
Who answered? God, I think my dad answered.
And
he was very happy to hear my voice. And I started crying, and then he put my mom on, and he put my brother on, you know, and I just kind of cried, you know, and realized how lucky, how blessed I was.
did Lauren make it?
Yeah. I talked to her this morning for the first time. I need to, find out what happened to the rest of the people, you know, in my company, my family, especially, you know, Russell and Dean. I need to find them before I can even think about what's next, you know. I haven't said bye to anyone yet, and, you know, well, I don't know what's next, but it's not really important, I don't know.
Linda says 63 co-workers at her company are still missing. And on a personal note, I was struck by how resilient she is. In the face of unthinkable adversity, she never panicked, only showed determination. Before we go, here's what we know right now. Sources tell CNN 2 new sealed arrest warrants have been issued for material witnesses in connection with Tuesday's attacks. 2 other material witnesses are already in custody. The death toll stands at 188 at the Pentagon. Authorities in New York say the number of missing at the site of the World Trade Center is 5,097. But rescue operations continue there in hopes that there may still be other people alive underneath all that rubble. Please stay with CNN throughout the night for continuous coverage. Aaron Brown will have a special report from New York beginning 1 hour from now. Up next, Larry King Live. His guests include Senators Richard Shelby, John Kerry, Richard Lugar, and Charles Schumer, Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura, and journalist Bob Woodward. I'm Greta Van Susteren, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
For the first time, take a unique look at ground zero from the sky. Plus, will an already volatile stock market fall victim to financial fears? Aaron Brown hosts a